Shalom, when the star of souls by giving all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Kadash, double honor to the apostles of Great Millstone, and honor to brothers doing the work, the most in truth and in sincerity. Yahweh's real name, of whom the world ignorantly calls God, Jehovah, Yahweh. His real name is Yahweh. The Son's true name is Yahushai, and when we pray Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Birmin in, Hamin Da, and Sham, in names Yahweh and the name of Yahushai. Real quick, I just wanted to touch on this because as has been mentioned, it was very interesting that he launched this Artemis 2 this Artemis 2 crew, right, when we were basically about to do the Passover, right? London side, we had basically done the Passover service by the time that this had basically gone, right? Now what's interesting, I'm trying to get the information on my other screen, right, but it's very interesting as well, right, that this was originally supposed to launch right on the 6th of March, right, which the third month in Esau's calendar, right, on the 6th day, so 3-6, right. We know and understand Esau likes these this numerology, right, and when you look into it, and it's one of the things that obviously we know they never went, right, but just because you'll have someone that will try and be come to camp and try and scoff, right. They say that they have been to the moon 6 times, right, not once, okay. Just once again, we know that they never went, but just for the sake of scoffers, they'll be like, no, actually we did go back, we went back 6 times, right. But the number 6 there as well, right. So in total 12 men, right, so certain numbers at 12 men, 6 times, right, so 12 2 6s, not another 6, right. So we understand this man always has these endeavors, right, but just for the sake of he puts them out there for the sake of enchantment, right, for the sake of witchcraft. In fact, we can grab that. This is Isaiah 47, right, and 12. It says, stand now with thine enchantments and with the multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. If so be, thou shalt be able to profit. If so be, thou mayest prevail. And that's it, right? Stand now with thine enchantments, man, right? He's got all of these enchantments, all of this, that, and the other. But the Lord is basically saying, look, you ain't going to prevail. Because at the end of the day, the Lord is the one that's in control of all of these spirits. This is Sirach 18:3. It says, who governeth the world with the palm of his hands, and all things obey his will. For he is the king of all, by his power dividing holy things among them from profane. All right, and that's it. The Lord is the one that governs everything, right? Everything obeys his will, right? Including these, spirits on the left hand side, right? Everything is in order. Well, that's the Lord's prayer, right? Matthew 6 says, Matthew 6, right, let's just read it, right, but from 9, right. So after this manner therefore pray ye, our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven, right. So basically what heaven's in order, right, and the Lord wants and this is what we're looking forward to, right? We're looking forward to a world wherein dwelleth righteousness, right? Order, right? As it is in heaven, right? You're gonna have order in heaven. You're gonna have order on earth. Okay, right? The Lord's will is done in the heavens and it's done on the earth, right? And that's it, right? So once again, find it very interesting that they launched this enchantment, right? Which this is what it is, right? This enchantment on the same day that we were holding our Passover, right? Which is a very high holy day, for us in our calendar, right? To this point where this is what is it? Jeremiah 16:14, right? It says, this is therefore, behold, the days come, saith Yahweh, that it shall no more be said, Yahweh liveth, that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt, right? But Yahweh liveth, that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north, right? So point I want there, so it is a common saying. You read through the scriptures, Yahweh's, it's always like, and the Lord Yahweh saved us out of Egypt, right? Lord Yahweh saved us out of Egypt. It's a common saying and a common theme, right? But basically, and that's because it was a great salvation, right? But the salvation that the Lord is about to bring is going to eclipse that, right? It's going to eclipse that, right? So we understand we're going to have, a whole new holy day, right? To basically celebrate the deliverance of us from this captivity, right? Because this has been a terrible captivity. Okay. So yeah, these are the enchantments that they're doing. But one of the things that came to mind, right, was we were offering up a righteous sacrifice, right, and they in that moment were offering up a wicked sacrifice, right, to the end that the thought that came to mind was of Moses, right, and the two serpents, right. This is Exodus 7, right, and 10. It basically says, and Moses and Aaron went on to Pharaoh, and they did so as Yahweh had commanded. And Aaron cast down his rod before Pharaoh and before his servants, and there became a serpent. Right, then Pharaoh also called the wise men and the sorcerers. Now the magicians of Egypt, they also did in like manner with their enchantments, for they cast down every man his rod, and they became serpents. But Aaron's rod swallowed up their rods, and he hardened Pharaoh's heart, that he had hearkened not unto them, as Yahweh hath said. Right. So ultimately, the Lord is, rather, the right hand is more powerful than the left hand side, right? And more we're going to be seeing that come and manifest in these last days. The fact that the Lord is with the way that the Most High is doing things. Does that make sense? So let me rephrase. I'm a bit cooked, right? The point I'm trying to make is, the right hand will always win, right? Righteousness will prevail, right? So despite the fact that they were doing their so I'm just thinking of a precept right now. Yeah, right. The fact that let me just rephrase that. Salaka, I just lost my trail of thought. Right, but it says for they Exodus 7 and 12. They cast down every man his rod, and they became serpents. But Aaron's rod swallowed up their rods. Right, so basically proving that the Most High, the righteousness will always defeat evil, right? The wicked, right? Just as they were doing their enchantments, right? Our sacrifice is basically going to be seen more by Yahweh Shem Yahushua, who ultimately is the one that giveth power to all of this, right? So let's jump over to 1 Kings 18, right? It goes on to say, let me see where the point to start. Right, let me read from verse 20. Right, it's 1 Kings 18 and 20. So Ahab sent unto all the children of Israel and gathered the prophets together unto Mount Carmel. And Elijah came unto all the people and said, How long halt ye between two opinions? If Yahweh be the Most High, follow him, but if Baal, then follow him. And the people answered him not a word. Then said Elijah unto the people, even I only remain a prophet of Yahweh, but Baal's prophets are 450 men. Right, let them therefore give us 2 bullocks, and let them choose 1 bullock for themselves, and cut it in pieces, and lay it on wood, and put no fire under. Right, and I will dress the other bullock, and lay it on wood, and put no fire under. And call ye on the name of your gods, and I will call on the name of Yahweh. Salakia. Right, and the Most High that answereth by fire, right, it says, let him be the Most High. Right, it says, and all the people answered and said, It is well spoken. And Elijah said unto the prophets of Baal, Choose you 1 bullock for yourselves, and dress it first, for ye are many, and call on the name of your gods, and put no fire under. And they took the bullock which was given them, and they dressed it, and called on the name of Baal from morning even until noon, saying, O Baal, hear us. But there was no voice, nor any that answered, and they leaped upon the altar which was made. Right, which, when you're reading this, right, don't think that this stopped happening. Don't think that these different different elites, right, and witches and warlocks aren't in the background, doing rituals, right, for their what do you call it, for their endeavor, right? Which is why it's one of the things that we know and we understand, right? Why they did this, right? This is a 2026 Minab school attack, right, on 28th of February, right? The first day of the 2026 Iran war, right? The Shajara Tayyib girls' elementary school, right, was destroyed, right, by missile strike. According to witness accounts verified by satellite-based analyses, the school was triple tapped, right, by three distinct. We had heard it was double tapped, right? So I didn't know it was triple tapped, right, by three distinct strikes, right? The roof of the school collapsed on students, according to Iran state media, and at least 175 were killed, over 100 of which were children, right? Um, yeah, and when I remember when I was looking into this originally, right? They were basically saying it was a thermobaric. Let's see if that comes. No, it's just saying therm. Let's see what bomb. Let me copy. Let's look into this. Right, let's read this. Right, I don't know what this is going to say, but it says that by January 2016, Los Alamos National Laboratory was working on a project to turn unburnt fuel left over when the Tomahawk reaches its target into additional explosive force. To do this, the missile JP-10 fuel is turned into a fuel-air explosive to combine the oxygen in the air and burn rapidly. Right, so the thermobaric explosion of the burning fuel acts in effect as a additional warhead and can be even more powerful than the main warhead itself when there is sufficient fuel left in the case of short range target. Right, so is this the same? And if a block 4, if this is a block 4 Tomahawk that basically hit that school, right? It's basically proving that this was a sacrifice, because what that basically saying is those girls were burned, right? And what has Iran, even before, what was Iran basically depicting, American Israelites, right, as basically worshippers of Baal. Okay, so we understand that this was a sacrifice that they did, right, to basically bless that war, right? The fact that they triple taps 3 times, right, and basically fired and basically burnt those girls alive, right? So let's carry on here, right? So First Kings 18:26, and they took the bullock which was given them, and they dressed it and called on the name of Baal from morning even until noon, saying, O Baal, hear us. But there was no voice, nor any that answered, and they leaped upon the altar which was made. Verse 27. And it came to pass at noon that Elijah mocked them and said, Cry aloud, for he is a God. Either he is talking, or he is pursuing, or he is in a journey, or peradventure he sleepeth and must be awaked. And they cried aloud and cut themselves after their manner with knives and lancets, right, till the blood gushed out of them, right? It says, and it came to pass when midday was past, and they prophesied until the time of the offering of the evening sacrifice, that there was neither voice, nor any to answer, nor any that regarded. And Elijah said unto all the people, Come near unto me. And all the people came near unto him, and he repaired the altar of Yahweh that was broken down. Elijah took 12 stones, according to the number of the tribes of the sons of Jacob, right? And unto whom the word of Yahweh came, saying, Israel shall be thy name, which even that shows the Lord himself, works in numerology. When you look into the world and different things, right, you have basically that number 12, right? 144 is woven into the fabric, right, of the world, right? Because even when you do, we think about, the scriptures talk about 6 days wherein shall you work, right? And the seventh is a day of rest, right? When you look into 26 times 12, right? 24, sorry, times 6, that's 144, right? 24 being the hours of the day, right? And, different things, so many different things of that nature, that vibration of 12, 144, right? Is all throughout the, all throughout the Lord's creation. So he's just, once again, just trying to copy the Most High, right? He's trying to do he's also trying to do numerology on the left hand side. Okay. All right, but let's carry on. It says, and with this, verse 32 says, and with the stones he built an altar in the name of Yahweh, and he made a trench about the altar as great as would contain 2 measures of seed, and he put the wood in order and cut the bullock in pieces and laid him on the wood and said, fill 4 barrels with water and pour it upon the burnt sacrifice and on the wood. So basically, douse it, right? So that it can't be lit, because you put that much, I ain't gonna burn up. But watch this. He says, and he said, do it the second time. And they did it the second time. And he said, do it the third time. And they did it the third time. And then the water ran round about the altar, and he filled the trench also with water. Right, verse 36, and it came to pass at that time of the offering of the evening sacrifice that Elijah the prophet came near and said, Yahweh power, Abraham, Isaac, and of Israel. Right, it says, let it be known this day that thou art the God in Israel, right, and that I am thy servant, and that I have done all these things at thy word. Hear me, O Yahweh, hear me. Let this people Hear me, O Yahweh, hear me, that this people may know that thou art the Lord Yahweh power, and that thou hast turned their heart back again. Then the fire of Yahweh fell and consumed the burnt sacrifice, and the wood, and the stones, and the dust, and licked up the water that was in the trench. And when the people saw it, they fell on their face, and they said, Yahweh, he is the power. Yahweh, he is the power. And Elijah said unto them, right, take the prophets of Baal, let none of them escape. And they took them, and Elijah brought them down to the brook Kishon, right, and slew them there, right? And that's it, right? Because ultimately, and we can end on this one, right? Ultimately, what does the scripture say? Right, so Psalms 96 from verse 4, it says, for Yahweh is great and greatly to be praised. He is to be feared above all gods. For all the gods of the nations are idols, but Yahweh made the heavens. So here it is. He is basically, pushing his agendas and, doing his witchcraft. But ultimately, his witchcraft is going to fail, right? And the Lord's is going to succeed, right? Is in the Lord's right hand power is going to succeed. Okay, because Esau's just trying to do things by the left hand means, but the Most High ain't with him, right? Esau's just being used for the Most High's agenda. So as always, Lords, all that was edifying. Till next time we say Shalom.